In the end, everybody bleeds the same.
Alright guys, so Chronicles of Riddick. I went to play this. It's the Chronicles of Riddick Dark Athena. And I went to play this down at Atari at the beginning of the year. Like it was just the first thing I did after New Year. And at that point, I knew nothing about the game. Like I knew it was going to be having this new story, but I was slightly confused as to like the connection between the old game, like the original Butcher Bay, which came out at the end of the Xbox's lifestyle, and loads of people loved, me included. And then I sort of knew it had a multiplayer feature as well, but like I say, it was this big like confusion as to actually what it was. So I went over to Atari to play it for like 4 hours, and it was one of those things where I sat down and played it and was so into it that I didn't really want to leave the office. Like it was that good, and like it's immediately jumped up to the top of my most wanted queue anyway. What about you, man?
I'm really excited for it. I played a couple of hours of the single player and a little bit of the multiplayer. It reminded me a lot of the kind of high quality, mature games you're getting, first person stuff like BioShock and things like that, in terms of the quality of the voice acting, things like that. But it also reminded me a lot of the older kind of stealth-based games like Thief, the Thief games especially, where you've really got to work out how to use the darkness, obviously because Riddick hides in the dark and you can see in the dark and that kind of stuff. So you have to learn to be able to use the darkness, hide in the shadows, jump out, kill people, jump back in the shadows, that kind of stuff. So I thought that element of it worked really great, and it's really atmospheric. It's got a really great vibe to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the engine as well is good, but artistically it's like in terms of graphics, artistically it's what impresses.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a dark game.
If you think about games which are kind of really going for that overt adult kind of vibe, some stuff like GTA or Gears of War even as well, which has got quite a fair amount of swearing in, you know. This feels slightly different. It seems a lot more played down. It's going for atmosphere rather than sort of shock value, I think.
It's got the whole movie vibe about it, you know. I mean, when I was playing it, the first thing that struck me was how much the intro was quite like BioShock. You know, I hadn't felt that sucked into a game straight away for a very long time, you know. And it was genuinely scary to me at first, much like BioShock was. And that's not happened well since Dead Space, but...
I think it's a real challenge when you're doing a dystopian sci-fi game. We've talked about other games in the past about, you know, a similar kind of vibe in terms of it. You know, it's dark and moody and it's set in space, and how difficult that is to do something that feels original. And the great thing about this is it really does have like a really nice design to it. The drones who you meet, which are sort of a sort of remote-controlled humanoid, have this brilliant thing of when they're being controlled by a human, have like a really cool human-like animation, and as soon as they get switched off, they go back into a robot mode and stuff like that. The little touches I thought were really, really nice. You know,
that's the big thing about it. You're on this pirate ship, and the big thing behind it, from what I've seen so far, is that they're turning the prisoners that are on that ship into these drones. So they're basically got set patterns when they're walking around, which makes them really easy to kill. But if you start making a lot of noise and they start cutting on to what you're doing, they take over them remotely. And there's a bit that I got to about maybe 3.5 hours in, where you actually get to jump into one of those machines and control the drones and like fire at each other. And then after that, there's another section where you can actually get into a mech, and there's all these like cool ideas that they're introducing like gradually as you're going through the game. There's even this really cool bit. I don't think you guys got to it, but you go to the center of the ship, and the gravity well in the center is like controlling the ship's gravity. And when you shoot people, they go flying into the gravity well. It's just loads of really cool ideas in it. You get to this great bit in the prison, and you've got to ask a couple of the guys in prison there to do these favors for you. And one of the characters, like I say, it was a mature game. One of the characters describes to you pretty in depth how he wants to sort of take and rape one of the female characters. And then there's this Silence of the Lambs-esque moment where you go and see another character, and he's just like in the corner masturbating, which is just two things I haven't really seen in a video game before.
No, not since the days of Leisure Suit Larry has masturbation been so overtly played in a video game. I think the kills are really satisfying. Normally I think the problem with first-person shooter games is that the melee combat is really unsatisfying normally. It normally involves you kind of swinging your arm wildly at enemies and stuff like that, and you can't normally wait to get the ranged weapons. The melee combat, and this is really good, it's like there's one point where you get these kind of twin curved blades.
Called Ulets.
Yeah,
Blades.
and you can perform some really quite stylish moves in terms of stabbing enemies in the neck and then under the rib cage and stuff like that. So I thought that stuff worked really well. It has a really satisfying weight to it when you're playing it.
I quite liked because you don't have weapons at the beginning bit and you've only got your melee stuff, but when you could pick up the drones and drag them around and use their guns, and I thought the animation for that was quite good. You can only move in one direction, you can only drag them back like you would in real life and shoot like that, and I thought that was really, really cool, really well done.
The developers have said they want to make it more weapon-based than Butcher Bay for Dark Athena, but at the same time there's still that element where some of the guns are ID tagged, so you have to use the drones, you have to carry their bodies around and stuff. There's some really cool stuff where you have to drag the bodies around through different rooms just so you can shoot out the glass in certain areas and make it through. Some really good ideas in there. What do you guys reckon about the multiplayer?
So I was talking to someone else about this earlier, and I think it's the case of the multiplayer is that if it's not a game you're going to buy for the multiplayer. For the few hours that I played the multiplayer, and it is essentially Unreal Tournament, Quake Arena style gameplay, a fixed small arena, competitive deathmatch. I know there are some different modes as well.
There are. We played sort of team deathmatch and deathmatch mostly, but there are other modes that they're not revealing.
But there's none of the leveling system of Call of Duty or anything like that. It's pretty old school deathmatch style gameplay.
I really didn't enjoy the multiplayer at all, I've got to be honest. I love the single player, but the multiplayer, again, you're right, it's too old school for me. I think we've gone past this point where we're doing Unreal Tournament and Quake still, and I think we should have something, a little more modern, like you say, Call of Duty and things like that. And especially for me, the weapons, they just did not feel accurate when I was firing them at all. It just felt like I was shooting at air and things like that,
Yeah, I guess that's part of the universe. Like the weapons aren't as good as the melee kills, like you said before, and you can't do the melee kills as far as I know in the multiplayer. It was all about the guns, really. One of the best modes that was in the game that I played anyway was Pitch Black mode. So as you say, Riddick's really good in the dark, and he's got these eye shine, and he can see in the dark really well. So the idea behind the mode is one player plays as Riddick and is in the dark. The rest of the guys are playing soldiers. They tool up, grab a load of weapons, and then they go down in the dark and try and hunt him down. And so what Riddick has got is the benefit, he can see what's going on. Everyone else has just got torches. So if you're Riddick, you can see torches, guys with torches coming around corners, and you can either decide to just kind of hang there and sit and hope they don't see you, or you can get in there and like smash them up with your Ulat blades.
Oh, that sounds really good.
And it's a really good mode, yeah. And if you're Riddick, it's really tense, and if you're a soldier, it's really frustrating because you'll try to race to beat everyone else to find Riddick and then kill him. And then most of the time, if you're playing against someone good, when we were playing against the game's developers, they just come in there, and the first thing you know that Riddick's there is when he's killed you, and you're repeating. It's really good.
That sounds great. It reminds me of the some of the multiplayer modes you used to have in Splinter Cell. There were some great multiplayer modes in that where you had spies, and the spies and the agents had to infiltrate the building
and hack. They had to sit there, and if they were really close, they could hack the terminal and stuff.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was good. That was my favourite mode.
I actually found that really, really hard, that mode. When I was playing online against the developers, they just kicked my ass.
Yeah.
They were far too good. And
you sure that's not them just being really good?
Maybe it's just my lack of multiplayer skills, but honestly, I just really didn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's too hard for me.
So are you guys excited to get the game? Was it on your radar before, and are you excited to get it now?
Yeah, no, I think it'll be a good, satisfying experience.
Yeah. And you?
Same. I mean, it wasn't on my radar at all, but after playing that single player, which I really did enjoy, I think it's going to be one of the games I'm after this year. Absolutely.